Now let's cover the experience point system. So the default system is that experience points are gained by defeating monsters on a 1 experience point per hits to kill basis, right? One experience point per hit point, basically, and by acquiring wealth on a 1 experience point per gold piece basis. Very simple. The 3 optional systems, we went over the third system, which is very straightforward. The third option is you simply roll down each of the motivating interests: intoxication, carnality, festivity, wealth, fame, piety, and hobby, and you just roll D100, and then that determines the multiplier that you're going to apply to how typically gold is spent to acquire experience points, with the exception of fame. And I'm clarifying some of this in the version that's coming out very soon on the fame portion, and how the basis actually works. Anyway, so optional system number 3, very straightforward. Now, system number 1 and 2, number 2 is the most complex. So let's tackle the first system. So in this case, let's look at the first character that I rolled up that was a wizard. Let's just call him Xylarthan, for lack of a better term. That name just popped into my head for no reason whatsoever. Anyway, Xy here happens to have been rolled up as a magic user. So first, we look at the table here, table number 11, and we find that he's a magic user. Next, we have to roll D100 to determine what his primary motivating interest is. Blue before orange. Let's keep it simple. And maybe this, oh, look at this, doesn't matter. It's going to be an 88. So, 88 for a magic user. Come down here, and it's going to be hobby. So his primary interest, his primary motivating interest is hobby. Each character is assigned a set of motivating interests by rolling 1d100 and comparing it to table 11, matching his class. Every gold piece spent in the primary motivating interest earns an experience point since it is indexed at 100%. So hobby is going to be at 100%. So we should just write down these motivating interests. And for him, hobby is the primary, and so it's indexed at 100. Now we come across to hobby, and we find out what the other motivating interests are going to be. Let's read what it says here. So, every gold piece spent in the primary motivating interest earns an experience point since it's indexed at 100%, while secondary motivating interests range between 5% and 90%. Gold spent on anything else does not result in experience. Example, Thad has rolled up character that's warrior named Bronk. Thad rolls 1d100, gets 27. So he's a warrior, he rolls 27. And so his primary interest is carnality. His secondary motivating interests are found by looking at table 12. So if you look at carnality here, I've made it color-coded so that you can look at what it is indexed to. So carnality ends up being 100, right? So we're going down this column for the Bronk example. In this case, hobby was indexed at 100. So we look down this, and he gets absolutely 0 for getting intoxicated. He gets 0 for carnality. He gets 0 for doing anything with festive. His wealth, he gets 50% if he stashes wealth away. He gets 80% on fame. He gets nothing for piety, and he gets 100% for hobby. Clear as mud. Let's try system number 2 one more time. So looking here at Colby Gladwin, who is a cleric. Next page. So he's a cleric. Let's roll D100 again. Why did I put these dice away? Doesn't matter. Blue before orange. Here we go. So you got a 98. So if we come to cleric and we look down to 98, again, it's going to be hobby. So the same thing, bad example. Let's try it again. 72. So he's a cleric. 72 is what he rolled. His primary motivating interest is going to be piety. Well, that makes sense. And now what we would do is we would look down to piety column and say, okay, for intoxication, he gets 10%. For carnality, he gets nothing. For festivity, 15%. Wealth, 25. Fame, 80. Piety, 100, because it's indexed, remember. And then nothing for hobby. So in that case, he gets very little for being, he gets nothing for being carnal, next to nothing for drinking too much wine and being festive. And then stashing away wealth, that doesn't help him much either. But as his fame increases, the fame of his religion also tracks. This all, once again, this goes back to Dave Arneson. I think this is a genius system. It's very poorly explained in FFC, First Fantasy Campaign, Judges Guild publication from 79-80. Okay, example number 3, though, is where things get really dicey. So let's pretend, for instance, that we're going to roll up Colby using system number 3. If you master system number 2, however, which we just covered, this one becomes easy. So again, we're looking at Colby, the cleric, and we're going to roll on table 11 for his primary motivating interest. In this case, 3-0. So 3-0 makes it fame. That's interesting. So now we come down to table 12 and we look at the fame column and take these percentages, right? 60-60, 85-75, 100, 80-80. So 60, 60, 85, 75, 100. Again, this is indexed to fame, so as you would expect, fame is at 100. Then 80, then 80. Now, the next step is for each of these, we're rolling 2d10 and dividing it by 10. And this is where we throw in some math. And so this becomes an additional multiplier, which means since 2d10 can go up to 20, you could end up with a multiplier of 2, right? So if I rolled 20 and divide by 10, I would get 2. So it's possible that let's say I happen to roll that on fame. It's possible that fame could earn me 200%. So this roll, if you roll high, that's good. And if you roll poorly, well, you're not going to get a lot of experience in those categories. 2d10 divided by 10. So 4 and 6 adds up to be 10. 10 divided by 10 equals 1. So 60 times 1 equals 60%. So that one's easy. 1 plus 1, that's 2. That's going to be 2/10. Right? So 0.2 times 60 equals, what is that? 0.2 times 60? That's going to be 12%. 5 and 4 is 9. So 9/10. 9/10 times 85 is going to be 8.5 times 9. That's going to be 72, and 4.5. That's going to be 76.5. And I think we're rolling down here, so 75%. Check my math. I'm doing this on the fly on a Saturday. 6. So 6/10 times 75 is 7.5 times 6. So 7 times 6 is 42. And 0.5 times 6 is 3, so that's going to be what, 45%? Use a calculator, folks. Don't be like me and try and do first grade math or something. 8 plus 4 is 12. So here's an instance where 12 divided by 10, so 100 divided by 10 is 10 times 12 equals 120, so that's going to be 120%. That's pretty good, right? 7 plus 3 is 10, so that's going to zero out. So that's just, or I'm sorry, that's going to equal 1. So that's going to be 80. Not zero out. You know what I mean. It's going to cancel out. And then 8 plus 6 is 14, so that's good. 14 divided by 10, so that's going to be 8, because the 80 turns into 8 times 14, so that's going to be 80 plus 32 is going to be, what, 113? No, 112. So now we've got these percentages, and it turns out that you get a little bit wider range. It's a little bit more interesting, right? So if he if he were to spend time on carnality, it would be near, it's going to be 12%. On the other hand, if Colby here were to spend time on fame for his exploits and those, therefore, of his religious order, his militant order, that would be 120%. And he also doesn't do badly on hobby, so maybe perhaps he'll train up an animal like a horse or something like that. So that's it. That's all 3 experience systems. You can see that this one is very complicated, and if you read First Fantasy Campaign, oh my, it's going to take a while before you suss out what he was trying to get at.